Hello, and welcome to the Drowsy Inquirer. I am glad you found your way here. Perhaps you've had a long day, or maybe you are the kind of person who, instead of counting sheep, likes to fall asleep contemplating the hidden systems working in the depths of your awareness. In either case, this journey tonight is for you. Just focus on resting. Allow your breath to slow down, your thoughts to soften, and your body to feel lighter, as if the weight of the day is finally lifting off you. Because tonight, we will explore something you experience every day but rarely have the chance to stop and think about. That voice coming from inside you. That feeling that forms in your stomach before making a decision. The sense of feeling something is right or wrong without being able to explain why. We call this intuition, instinct, or a gut feeling. And for a long time, this was dismissed as superstition or something unscientific. But now we know that intuition is real. It has a biology. It has a neural signature. And it shapes your life in ways you never realize. We will drift gently into the science of unconscious decision-making, from ancient structures in your brain that sense danger before you see it, to neurons in your gut that communicate directly with your mind. From body language you read without realizing, to those split-second judgments that often turn out more accurate than careful analyses. Some of what you hear tonight may change the way you trust yourself. Other information may float by like clouds, soft, intriguing, and quietly memorable. Just before we begin, if these calm explorations help you unwind or end your day peacefully, you might consider gently tapping the like button and subscribing to the channel. This helps other sleepy souls find their way here. Now, let's begin. Your brain makes decisions before you become consciously aware of them. In the early 1980s, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet conducted a series of experiments that challenged our understanding of free will. He asked participants to move their hands whenever they felt the urge, while monitoring their brain activity. What he found was surprising. The brain showed a surge of electrical activity called the readiness potential, about half a second before the person reported consciously feeling the intention to move. The decision was already in motion before awareness caught up. This does not mean free will is an illusion, but it shows that much of what we think of as conscious choice is actually the mind catching up with processes that started unconsciously. Your brain is always working beneath the surface, processing, predicting, and preparing. Consciousness arrives late to the party. Intuition is pattern recognition happening faster than thought. When you meet someone and immediately feel uneasy, or sense that a business deal is too good to be true, you are not having a mystic vision. You are experiencing rapid pattern matching. Your brain has absorbed countless experiences, faces, tones of voice, body postures, and outcomes. It stores these as implicit memory, patterns that guide behavior without conscious recall. When a new situation resembles an old pattern, even slightly, your brain flags it. The signal rises not as a thought, but as a feeling. This is why experts in any field, like chess players, firefighters, or surgeons, can make brilliant decisions in seconds. They are not guessing. They are drawing from vast libraries of embodied knowledge that their conscious minds cannot fully access. The insula helps you feel what is happening inside your body. Deep within the brain, folded within the cortex, lies a region called the insular cortex, or insula. This processes signals coming from your internal organs, your heartbeat, your breath, and the tension in your stomach. This is called interoception, the sense of feeling the internal state of your body. The insula integrates these signals and contributes to your sense of self and emotion. When you feel a gut feeling, the insula is usually involved. It translates bodily sensations into something the mind can interpret as intuition. People with high insular activity tend to be more aware of their emotions and more sensitive to subtle bodily cues. The insula is a bridge. It connects bodily sensations to the subjective experience of feeling. Your gut has its own nervous system. Lining the walls of your digestive system is a network of over 100 million neurons, even more than in your spinal cord. This is called the enteric nervous system, and it operates semi-independently from the brain. It controls digestion, yes, but it also communicates with your brain via the vagus nerve, a long, wandering nerve that connects the gut to the brainstem. This is the biological basis of the gut-brain axis. When you have butterflies in your stomach before a speech or feel nauseous when anxious, this is your gut responding to emotional signals from the brain. But the communication is two-way. Your gut sends information up, influencing mood, decision-making, and even memory. A gut feeling is not a metaphor. It is anatomy. Gut bacteria influence your emotions and behavior. Trillions of microorganisms live in your gut, bacteria, fungi, and viruses, collectively known as the gut microbiota. These microbes help digest food, but they also produce neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. In fact, about 90% of the body's serotonin is produced in the gut. These chemicals affect mood and cognition. Animal studies have shown that altering gut bacteria can change behavior, increasing anxiety or boldness depending on the strains introduced. In humans, microbiota imbalances have been linked to depression, anxiety, and even autism. Your gut is not just a digestive organ. It is a chemical factory shaping how you feel and think. When your gut tells you something, it might be speaking the language of bacteria. The vagus nerve is the main communication highway between the gut and the brain. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body, extending from the brainstem through the neck, into the chest and abdomen. It carries sensory information from the gut, heart, and lungs back to the brain. About 80% of vagal fibers are sensory, meaning they send information up, not down. This is why stimulating the vagus nerve through deep breathing, meditation, or even certain tones of voice can calm the mind and reduce anxiety. The vagus nerve is your body's built-in stress regulator. It helps you rest, digest, and recover. And it plays a central role in translating the body's state into emotional awareness. When you feel something is wrong in your gut, the vagus nerve carries this message to your brain, often before you consciously notice it. Your body reacts to danger before your mind registers it. Imagine walking down a dark street. Before you consciously think, "This feels unsafe," your heartbeat may have already sped up. Your palms may sweat. Your muscles tense. This is because the brain's threat detection system, anchored in the amygdala, works faster than conscious thought. The amygdala takes sensory inputs, visual, auditory, olfactory, and scans for potential danger. If it detects a threat, it triggers a cascade of physiological responses through the autonomic nervous system. The prefrontal cortex, the center of rational thought, only kicks in later to consciously assess the situation. By the time you think you are scared, your body is already prepared to fight or flee. In this sense, intuition is your body's early warning system. The amygdala processes fear and emotional memory. The amygdala is a small, almond-shaped structure deep in the temporal lobe of the brain. It plays a key role in detecting threats and encoding emotional memories, especially those involving fear. When you encounter something resembling a past danger, the amygdala activates rapidly, often without conscious input. This is why certain smells, sounds, or places trigger strong emotional reactions. You may not consciously remember the original event, but your amygdala does. It has filed away the sensory details and uses them to predict future threats. This system evolved to keep you alive, helping you avoid predators, poisonous plants, and hostile strangers. In the modern world, it still activates, sometimes in response to social rejection, financial stress, or uncertainty. The amygdala does not distinguish between physical and psychological threats. It simply signals danger. Implicit learning happens without conscious awareness. You have learned countless things without ever knowing you learned them. How to read the vibe of a room. When someone is lying. What makes a joke funny? This is implicit learning, the acquisition of knowledge through experience rather than instruction. Unlike explicit learning, which involves conscious study and recall, implicit learning operates below awareness. This is why you can instantly recognize a friend's face but struggle to describe it in words. This is why you know a sentence sounds wrong even if you can't explain the grammar rule. Your brain automatically encodes patterns, relationships, and probabilities, building a vast internal model of the world. When you trust intuition, you are often drawing from this reservoir of hidden knowledge. The basal ganglia help automate decisions. Deep in the brain lies a cluster of structures known as the basal ganglia. They play a role in habit formation, motor control, and procedural learning. When you repeat an action enough times, the basal ganglia take over, allowing you to perform it automatically, without conscious thought. This is why you can drive on a familiar route while your mind is elsewhere, or why athletes can perform complex movements in the heat of competition. The basal ganglia free up the prefrontal cortex for other tasks. They also play a role in intuitive decision-making. When a situation feels familiar, the basal ganglia can guide your response based on past patterns, bypassing deliberate analysis. This is efficient, but can also lead to errors. Automation is powerful, but not always adaptable. Intuition works best in familiar domains. A firefighter can look at a burning building and immediately sense where the structure is weakest. A nurse can take one look at a patient and know something is wrong before any test confirms it. This is intuition at its best, fast, accurate, and experience-based. But intuition falters in unfamiliar territory. If you have never invested in stocks, your gut feeling about a portfolio is nothing more than a guess. Intuition requires a database of rich past experiences to draw upon. It is pattern recognition, and patterns only emerge with repetition. This is why experts can trust their gut in their field but must be careful outside of it. Intuition is not magic. It is expertise expressed as feeling. The somatic marker hypothesis explains gut feelings. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio proposed the somatic marker hypothesis in the 1990s. He suggested that when faced with a decision, your brain recalls similar past situations and the emotions associated with them. These emotions are re-experienced as bodily sensations, or somatic markers, which guide your choice. If a past decision led to a bad outcome, your body might produce a slight feeling of discomfort when you consider a similar option. If it led to success, you might feel a sense of relief. These markers help you rapidly navigate complex decisions without needing to consciously analyze every detail. Damasio's research showed that people with damage to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which integrates emotion and logic, often made poor decisions despite having intact logic and memory. Emotion is not the enemy of reason. It is its partner. Emotions are not noise, they are information. For much of Western intellectual history, emotions were viewed as destructive, irrational forces that clouded judgment. But modern neuroscience tells a different story. Emotions are signals. They carry information about your goals, relationships, and environment. Fear tells you something might be dangerous. Anger signals that a boundary has been crossed. Sadness reflects loss. Joy marks connection or success. When you ignore your emotions, you ignore data. Intuition often manifests as an emotional signal, a vague sense of rightness or wrongness. Learning to interpret these signals rather than dismissing them is a form of emotional intelligence. The goal is not to let emotions control you, but to let them inform you. Your heart rate variability reflects emotional regulation. Heart rate variability, or HRV, measures the variation in time between heartbeats. It is controlled by the autonomic nervous system and reflects the balance between the sympathetic, fight or flight, and parasympathetic, rest and digest, branches. High HRV is generally a sign of good health and emotional resilience. It means your body can flexibly adapt to stress. Low HRV is associated with chronic stress, anxiety, and poor emotional regulation. Interestingly, HRV is also linked to intuitive accuracy. People with higher HRV tend to make better decisions under uncertainty, likely because they are more attuned to their bodily states. Practices like deep breathing, meditation, and mindfulness can increase HRV, strengthening the connection between body and mind. Breathing patterns influence decision-making. The way you breathe affects how you think. Slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the body and mind. It increases prefrontal cortex activity, improving focus and emotional regulation. Rapid, shallow breathing activates the sympathetic nervous system, triggering stress responses and narrowing attention. Studies have shown that people make more impulsive, risk-averse decisions when their breathing is shallow. Before an important decision, take a few slow breaths. It may seem simple, but by changing your physiology, you bring your body into a state more conducive to clear thinking. Breath is a bridge between the conscious and unconscious. It is one of the few autonomic functions you can voluntarily control. Facial expressions are universal across cultures. In the 1960s, psychologist Paul Ekman traveled to remote cultures, including tribes in Papua New Guinea who had never been exposed to Western media. He showed them photos of facial expressions and asked them to identify the emotions. The results were striking. People from vastly different cultures recognized the same basic emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, and disgust. This suggests that certain facial expressions are innate, not learned. They are likely hardwired into human biology because they serve survival functions. A face crumpled in disgust warns others of potential poison. A fearful expression signals danger. Reading these expressions quickly and accurately is a form of nonverbal communication older than language. Your brain processes faces with astonishing speed, often within 100 milliseconds. You know how someone feels before they speak. Micro-expressions reveal hidden emotions. Most facial expressions last between 1 and 2 seconds. But micro-expressions are much faster, appearing and disappearing on the face in less than half a second. They are involuntary and often occur when someone is trying to hide their true emotions. A brief flash of contempt. A flicker of fear. These fleeting signals can betray what words try to hide. Trained observers like security personnel or therapists learn to spot micro-expressions, but most people perceive them unconsciously. You might sense something is wrong in a conversation without knowing why. Your brain noticed a micro-expression, but it didn't reach conscious awareness. This is intuition at work. Your unconscious mind reading the room faster than your conscious mind can catch up. Body language conveys more than words. Psychologist Albert Mehrabian suggested that in communication, words account for only 7% of meaning, tone of voice 38%, and body language 55%. While these numbers are often oversimplified and apply specifically to situations involving feelings and attitudes, the general point holds true. Nonverbal cues, posture, gestures, eye contact, facial expressions carry immense weight. When someone's words say yes but their body says no, you feel that incongruence. Crossed arms might signal defensiveness. Leaning forward indicates interest. Avoiding eye contact might indicate discomfort or deception. Your brain processes these cues automatically, forming a holistic impression of intent and emotion. Much of what you call intuition about people is actually rapid, unconscious analysis of body language. Mirror neurons help you understand others. In the 1990s, researchers in Italy made an accidental discovery. While studying motor neurons in macaque monkeys, they noticed that certain neurons fired not only when the monkey performed an action, but also when it watched another monkey perform the same action. These became known as mirror neurons. Subsequent research suggested humans have a similar system, though the details are still debated. Mirror neurons may form the basis of empathy, imitation, and the ability to deduce others' intentions. When you see someone smile, neurons associated with smiling activate in your own brain. You don't just observe the emotion. You simulate it. This internal simulation helps you understand what others are feeling, often before they tell you. This is the neural basis of the phrase, "I feel you." Empathy is both cognitive and emotional. Empathy has two main components. Cognitive empathy is the ability to understand what someone else is thinking or feeling. This is perspective taking. Emotional empathy is feeling what they feel, sharing their emotional experience. Both involve different brain regions. Cognitive empathy relies more on the prefrontal cortex and theory of mind networks. Emotional empathy engages the insula, amygdala, and mirror neuron systems. You can have one without the other. Psychopaths may have intact cognitive empathy, understanding emotions, but lack emotional empathy, not feeling them. Others may feel deeply but struggle to interpret what others are thinking. Healthy social intuition requires both. You need to read the signals and respond emotionally. Thin slicing is drawing accurate judgments from minimal information. Psychologist Nalini Amity conducted studies where participants watched silent video clips of teachers for just a few seconds, sometimes as short as 6 seconds. Based on these brief glimpses, participants rated the teacher's effectiveness. Surprisingly, their judgments correlated strongly with end-of-semester student evaluations. This phenomenon, called thin slicing, shows that humans can extract meaningful information from surprisingly small amounts of data. Your brain takes tone of voice, body language, facial expressions, and synthesizes them into an impression. Thin slicing works best when judging something familiar, like social behavior. It is less reliable for complex, technical judgments. But it demonstrates the power of rapid, unconscious processing. Sometimes the first impression is the right one. First impressions form in milliseconds. Within the first 100 milliseconds of seeing a face, your brain makes judgments about trustworthiness, competence, and likability. These snap judgments are surprisingly consistent, even when people are given more time to think. This doesn't mean first impressions are always accurate, but they are powerful. They create a self-fulfilling prophecy, shaping how you interact with someone. If you judge someone as untrustworthy, you might act guardedly, causing them to act more defensively, confirming your initial impression. The speed of first impressions reflects the brain's need for efficiency. Evolutionarily, quickly assessing whether a stranger was friend or foe could be a matter of life and death. Today the stakes are lower, but the system persists. The halo effect skews your perception. The halo effect occurs when one positive trait influences your overall impression of a person. If someone is attractive, you might unconsciously assume they are also intelligent, kind, or competent. This cognitive bias affects hiring decisions, legal judgments, and daily interactions. It is a shortcut, the brain's way of simplifying complex social evaluations. But it can lead to errors. The opposite, the horn effect, occurs when one negative trait overshadows everything else. These biases operate largely unconsciously. You may believe you are judging someone objectively, but subtle cues are shaping your perception below awareness. Recognizing these biases is the first step toward more accurate intuition. Priming influences unconscious decisions. Priming is the phenomenon where exposure to one stimulus affects your response to another stimulus, even without you being aware of the connection. In classic studies, participants who unscrambled sentences containing words related to old age subsequently walked more slowly. Those primed with words related to rudeness interrupted a conversation sooner. The effects are subtle but real. Your environment, the words you hear, the images you see prime your brain, activating specific associations and biases. Advertisers, politicians, and storytellers use priming constantly. It shapes your mood, preferences, and behavior, often without you noticing. This is one reason why intuition can sometimes be misleading. It might be responding to primers rather than genuine insight. Anchoring biases your judgments. Anchoring is a cognitive bias where the first piece of information you receive disproportionately influences your subsequent judgments. If you are shopping for a car and the first car you see is $50,000, a $30,000 car suddenly seems reasonable. If the first car was $20,000, the $30,000 car would seem expensive. The first number acts as an anchor. This bias affects negotiations, price perception, and even medical diagnoses. Your intuition is not immune to it. It is shaped by context, framing, and the order in which information arrives. Being aware of anchoring can help you question your gut reactions and consider whether they are based on relevant information or arbitrary starting points. The availability heuristic distorts risk perception. If something is easy to recall, you assume it is common. Plane crashes receive intense media coverage, so people overestimate their frequency and fear flying. Car accidents are much more common but feel mundane. This is the availability heuristic, a mental shortcut that substitutes ease of recall for probability. It is efficient but often wrong. Your intuition about risk is shaped by memory and emotion, not statistics. Vivid, recent, or emotionally charged events dominate your assessment. This is why a single news story can shift public perception more than years of data. Your gut feeling about danger might be based on what you remember, not what is actually probable. Confirmation bias causes you to seek information that supports your beliefs. You tend to notice, remember, and give more weight to information that confirms what you already believe. Evidence that contradicts your views is often dismissed or ignored. This is confirmation bias, and it operates largely unconsciously. If you believe someone is dishonest, you will notice every mistake they make and ignore every honest act. Your intuition becomes a self-feeding cycle. You are not reading the situation objectively. You are selectively gathering evidence to support your first impression. Breaking free from confirmation bias requires conscious effort. You must actively seek contrary evidence and question your assumptions. Intuition is powerful but can also be stubborn. The Dunning-Kruger effect shows that overconfidence masks ignorance. People with low competence in a domain overestimate their abilities because they lack the knowledge to recognize their mistakes. Conversely, experts tend to underestimate themselves because they are aware of how much they don't know. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. It affects intuition too. Someone with limited experience might trust their gut too much, while someone with deep expertise might hesitate. Confidence and accuracy are not always aligned. Sometimes the loudest inner voice is the one with the least information. Learning to calibrate your intuition, knowing when to trust it and when to question it, is a skill. It requires self-awareness and humility. Stress narrows your focus and impairs intuition. When you are stressed, your brain shifts into survival mode. The sympathetic nervous system activates, flooding your body with cortisol and adrenaline. Your focus narrows to immediate threats, a phenomenon called tunneling. This is helpful in immediate emergencies, but it impairs broader, more nuanced thinking. Under stress, you are more likely to rely on rigid patterns and stereotypes. You miss subtle cues. Your intuition becomes less accurate because your perceptual field has shrunk. This is why high-pressure decisions often feel wrong in hindsight. You weren't seeing the whole picture. Managing stress through breathing, mindfulness, or simply taking a break can restore the breadth of awareness needed for intuition to function well. Sleep deprivation impairs emotional processing. When you don't sleep enough, the amygdala becomes hyperactive, and the connection between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex weakens. This means you are more reactive to emotional stimuli and less capable of regulating your responses. Your intuition skews towards negativity. Neutral faces may look threatening. Ambiguous situations feel dangerous. Sleep deprivation also disrupts memory consolidation, degrading the quality of the implicit knowledge base intuition draws from. If you are making an important decision, sleep on it isn't just folk wisdom. It is neuroscience. Resting restores balance, sharpens perception, and improves the accuracy of your gut feelings. Meditation strengthens internal awareness. Meditation, specifically mindfulness meditation, trains you to pay attention to internal sensations without judgment. You notice your breath, the tension in your muscles, the rhythm of your heartbeat. This practice strengthens the insula and increases interoceptive awareness, the ability to feel what is happening inside your body. Over time, meditators become more attuned to subtle bodily signals, the first stirrings of emotion, the slight discomfort before a bad decision. This heightened awareness enhances intuition. You catch signals earlier and interpret them more accurately. Meditation does not replace rational analysis, but it sharpens the inner compass that guides you when logic alone is not enough. Mindfulness reduces reactivity and improves decision-making. Mindfulness is the practice of observing your thoughts and emotions without immediately reacting to them. It creates a space between stimulus and response. In that space, you have a choice. Without mindfulness, intuition can become impulsive. A gut feeling arises, and you act without thinking. Sometimes this is appropriate. Other times it leads to regret. Mindfulness allows you to notice the feeling, acknowledge it, and then decide whether to follow it. This does not weaken intuition. It refines it. You learn to distinguish between genuine insight and reactive emotion. Studies show that mindfulness training improves decision-making, reduces cognitive biases, and enhances emotional regulation. It makes you a better listener to yourself and others. The anterior cingulate cortex monitors conflict. Deep in the brain, the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, acts as an error detector. It monitors for conflicts between different information sources, between what you expect and what you observe, between competing goals. When the ACC detects a mismatch, it sends a signal, often experienced as a vague feeling of uneasiness. This is a source of intuition. You may not consciously know what is wrong, but the ACC has flagged an inconsistency. This system helps you catch errors before they become costly. This is why proofreading your own writing is hard. Your brain predicts what should be there and skips over mistakes. But the ACC might still alert you. Something feels off. That feeling is worth paying attention to. Intuition and analysis are not opposites. For a long time, people thought of intuition and rational analysis as conflicting modes of thought. Intuition was fast, emotional, unreliable. Analysis was slow, logical, reliable. But this dichotomy is false. Intuition and analysis work best together. Intuition generates hypotheses, quick impressions based on pattern recognition. Analysis tests these hypotheses, checking them against evidence and logic. In complex situations, you need both. Pure intuition can be biased or ill-informed. Pure analysis can be slow and miss the forest for the trees. The most effective decision-makers toggle between the two. They trust their gut but verify. They think deeply but also listen to the quiet signals rising from below. Experts often cannot explain their intuition. Ask a chess master why they made a specific move, and they might struggle to articulate it. I just knew it was right, they might say. Ask an experienced therapist how they sensed a patient was lying, and they might say, something felt off. Expertise often becomes intuitive precisely because it is encoded implicitly. The knowledge is there, but not accessible to conscious introspection. This is why apprenticeship and mentorship are important. Experts can demonstrate their intuition, but they can't always teach it directly. The student must accumulate their own experiences, build their own internal library of patterns. Intuition is learned, not by explanation, but by doing. The brain constantly predicts the future. Your brain is not a passive receiver of information. It is a prediction machine. Based on past experiences, it constantly generates expectations about what will happen next. When reality matches prediction, perception is smooth. When there is a mismatch, the brain updates its model. This predictive processing underlies much of perception, cognition, and action. It also underlies intuition. A gut feeling often arises when something violates your brain's predictions. You expected one thing but sensed another. The mismatch creates a signal, a feeling that something is wrong. This is why experienced professionals can sense when a situation is about to go bad. Their brain's prediction model is finely tuned and detects deviations early. The precuneus plays a role in self-referential thought. Located in the parietal lobe, the precuneus is active during self-reflection, memory retrieval, and imagining the future. It is part of the default mode network, the brain's resting state. When you daydream, think about yourself, or imagine how a decision might turn out, the precuneus kicks in. It also plays a role in integrating information from different sources, creating a coherent sense of self and situation. Some researchers believe the precuneus contributes to intuitive decision-making by simulating possible futures and evaluating them against your goals and values. The gut feeling that one option is better than another might stem from this unconscious simulation. Your brain is running scenarios in the background, and the precuneus helps you feel which one aligns best with who you are. The orbitofrontal cortex integrates emotion and reward. Located just above the eyes, the orbitofrontal cortex, OFC, integrates sensory information, emotion, and reward value. It helps you evaluate options, weighing potential gains against potential losses. Damage to the OFC impairs decision-making, especially in social and emotional contexts. People with OFC damage might make choices that seem rational on paper but feel intuitively wrong. They lack the emotional input that normally guides decisions. The OFC is central to the somatic marker hypothesis. It links past outcomes to current choices, using emotion as a guide. When you get a bad feeling about a decision, the OFC is often involved, signaling that similar choices led to regret in the past. Dopamine signals prediction errors. Dopamine is often called the reward chemical, but more accurately, it is a learning signal. Dopamine neurons fire not just when you get a reward, but when a reward is better than expected. If you expect nothing and get something, dopamine spikes. If you expect a lot and get less, dopamine drops. This prediction error signal helps the brain learn which actions lead to positive outcomes. It also shapes intuition. When you feel a surge of excitement about an opportunity, it might be dopamine signaling a potential reward. When you feel deflated, it might be signaling that expectations won't be met. Your gut feelings are partly driven by this chemical messenger constantly updating your internal model of what works and what doesn't. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex is crucial for value-based decisions. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex, VMPFC, sits at the intersection of emotion, memory, and decision-making. It assigns value to different options, integrating inputs from the amygdala, hippocampus, and OFC. When faced with a choice, the VMPFC helps you weigh options based on past experiences and predicted outcomes. As seen in Phineas Gage and other patients, damage to this region leads to poor decision-making despite intact intelligence and memory. These individuals can reason logically, but their choices lack coherence. They make decisions that harm their well-being, relationships, and future. The VMPFC provides the emotional coloring that turns abstract analysis into felt value. This is where logic meets life. Intuition can be trained. Like any skill, intuition improves with practice. The more experience you accumulate in a domain, the richer your implicit knowledge base becomes. Firefighters, doctors, and pilots undergo extensive training not just to learn facts, but to build intuition. They practice in simulations, exposing themselves to varied situations and receiving feedback. Over time, their brains encode the patterns that guide rapid decision-making under pressure. You can train your intuition too, by seeking diverse experiences, reflecting on outcomes, and paying attention to the bodily signals that arise during decisions. Keep a journal. Notice when your gut was right and when it was wrong. Over time, you will learn to recognize the difference between genuine insight and reactive emotion. The default mode network supports spontaneous thought. When you are not focused on a task, a network of brain regions becomes active. This is the default mode network, DMN, and it is associated with daydreaming, self-reflection, and spontaneous thought. Far from being idle, the DMN may play a role in creativity, problem-solving, and intuition. By allowing your mind to wander, it makes connections between distant ideas. Many people report their best insights come during walks, showers, or just before sleep, moments when the DMN is active and the executive network is quiet. Intuition often arrives when you stop trying. You were working on a problem, you let it go, and suddenly the answer appeared. This is the work of the DMN, processing in the background, integrating information in ways conscious effort cannot. Gut feelings can be wrong. Intuition is not infallible. It is fast, but speed comes at a cost. Intuition relies on heuristics, mental shortcuts that work most of the time but not always. It is vulnerable to biases, priming, and emotional states. If you are anxious, your gut might signal danger where there is none. If you are overconfident, it might ignore real risks. Intuition is also shaped by the information you have been exposed to. If your experiences are limited or skewed, your intuition will reflect that. This is why diverse experiences are important. They broaden the database your intuition draws from. The key is not to trust your gut blindly, but to use it as one of many sources of information. Listen to it, but also question it. Ask, why do I feel this way? What might I be missing? Cultural differences shape intuitive responses. Culture influences what you notice, how you interpret emotions, and what you consider appropriate behavior. Collectivist cultures common in East Asia emphasize group harmony and context. People from these cultures tend to focus on relationships and the big picture. Individualist cultures common in the West emphasize personal achievement and independence. People from these cultures tend to focus on individuals and details. These differences show up in intuition. A Westerner might intuit someone is confident based on assertive body language. An Easterner might intuit the same confidence through subtle social cues like how others defer to that person. Intuition is not universal. It is culturally embedded. Understanding this can help you navigate cross-cultural interactions and avoid misinterpreting signals. Intuition varies by personality. Some people are naturally more intuitive than others. Personality traits like openness to experience, emotional intelligence, and introversion are linked to high intuitive awareness. Introverts, for example, often have rich inner worlds and are more attuned to subtle internal signals. People high in openness are comfortable with ambiguity and more willing to trust gut feelings. Conversely, those high in conscientiousness might prefer structured, analytical approaches. No style is better. They fit different situations. The goal is not to force yourself into a mode, but to recognize your natural tendencies and expand your range. If you are very analytical, practice tuning into your body. If you are very intuitive, practice questioning your assumptions. Gender differences in intuition are often exaggerated. Popular culture often portrays women as more intuitively gifted than men, especially in social and emotional contexts. Research shows that women do score higher on tests of emotion recognition and empathy on average. But these differences are small, and the overlap between men and women is vast. Furthermore, much of what is attributed to gender may be the result of social conditioning. Women are often encouraged to be sensitive to others' feelings, while men are encouraged to suppress emotion. When men are trained to notice emotional cues, their performance improves. Intuition is not gendered. It is a human capacity. Anyone, regardless of gender, can develop it through attention, practice, and openness. Aging changes intuition in complex ways. As you age, your brain changes. Processing speed slows down, but accumulated knowledge increases. Older adults often show better emotional regulation and greater wisdom. They may not react as quickly, but their judgments are often more balanced. This affects intuition. On one hand, older adults have decades of experience to draw upon, enriching their pattern recognition. On the other hand, they might be more set in their ways, relying on old patterns. The key is lifelong learning. Staying curious, seeking new experiences, and remaining open to change keeps your intuition flexible. Wisdom is not just knowing more. It is knowing when to trust what you know and when to question it. Trauma can disrupt intuitive signals. Trauma, especially in childhood, can alter how your brain processes threat and safety. The amygdala can become hyperactive, seeing danger where there is none. The prefrontal cortex may struggle to regulate fear responses. This can lead to an intuition that feels overwhelming, a constant sense of unease or hypervigilance. Alternatively, trauma can numb intuition by disconnecting you from bodily signals as a protective mechanism. Healing from trauma often involves re-establishing trust in your own perceptions, learning to distinguish between past threats and present reality. Therapeutic approaches like somatic experiencing or EMDR can help recalibrate your intuitive system, restoring its accuracy and balance. Psychedelics can temporarily alter intuitive processing. Substances like psilocybin, LSD, and ayahuasca affect serotonin receptors in the brain, particularly the 5-HT2A receptor involved in perception, mood, and cognition. Users often report enhanced introspection, a sense of interconnectedness, and insights that feel profound. Some describe a heightened sense of intuition or access to unconscious material. Research is ongoing, but early studies suggest psychedelics may increase connectivity between brain regions that don't usually communicate, allowing for new associations and perspectives. They may also quiet the ego by reducing activity in the default mode network, making space for spontaneous thought. Whether these experiences reflect genuine insight or altered perception remains a question. But they suggest that intuition is not fixed. It can be modulated, enhanced, or disrupted by changes in brain chemistry. The right hemisphere is more involved in holistic processing. The brain's two hemispheres are specialized, but they work together constantly. The left hemisphere tends to process information sequentially, focusing on details and language. The right hemisphere processes information holistically, integrating context and emotion. Some researchers believe the right hemisphere plays a larger role in intuition, especially in recognizing patterns, reading social cues, and processing nonverbal information. Damage to the right hemisphere can impair these abilities, making it hard to understand jokes, detect sarcasm, or read between the lines. In this view, intuition is partly the right hemisphere's way of signaling insights that the left hemisphere hasn't articulated yet. It is the feeling of knowing without knowing why. The corpus callosum connects the two hemispheres. The corpus callosum is a thick band of nerve fibers that allows the brain's two hemispheres to communicate. Information processed in one hemisphere can be shared with the other, creating a unified experience. In rare cases, when the corpus callosum is severed, usually to treat severe epilepsy, the two hemispheres function more independently. Split-brain patients exhibit fascinating behaviors. One hand might start an action while the other stops it. One hemisphere might know something the other doesn't. These cases reveal how much integration normally happens below awareness. Your sense of a single, unified self is partly the product of constant communication between hemispheres. Intuition may arise from this integration, the brain's ability to synthesize diverse streams of information into a single, coherent impression. Gut feelings are often right, but not always. Studies on intuitive decision-making show mixed results. In some contexts, intuition outperforms deliberate analysis. In others, it leads to errors. The key factor is expertise. When you are experienced in a domain, having seen hundreds or thousands of similar situations, your intuition is usually accurate. It is based on deep, implicit knowledge. But in unfamiliar or highly uncertain situations, intuition is more likely to mislead. It may latch onto irrelevant cues or fall prey to biases. The lesson is not to always trust or never trust your gut, but to calibrate your trust based on the context. Ask yourself, do I have relevant experience here? Am I emotionally balanced? Am I aware of potential biases? Intuition is a tool. Like any tool, it works best when used skillfully. The body knows before the mind decides. In experiments where participants played a gambling game, researchers measured physiological responses, heart rate, skin conductance, while decisions were being made. Before participants consciously realized which decks were risky, their bodies began to react. Their palms sweated when they reached for a bad deck. Their heart rates increased. The body was learning faster than the mind. This is the essence of gut feeling. Your unconscious brain detects patterns and sends a signal to the body, which sends the message back as a sensation. By the time you consciously think about the decision, your body has already started guiding you. This doesn't mean you should always follow the feeling. But it means you should pay attention to it. The body is not separate from the mind. It is part of the mind, an extension of your brain's processing power. Practice improves the accuracy of intuition. Just as athletes train their bodies to react instinctively, you can train your mind to recognize patterns more accurately. This involves focused repetition with feedback, known as deliberate practice. Doctors improve their diagnostic intuition by seeing thousands of patients and learning from outcomes. Investors hone their market sense by studying patterns and tracking results. You can apply this to any area of life. If you want better social intuition, pay attention to interactions, notice what works, and reflect on what doesn't. If you want better self-intuition, keep a journal, track your decisions, and note when your gut was right or wrong. Over time, patterns emerge. You learn to recognize important signals and filter out the noise. Intuition is not a mysterious gift. It is a skill that improves with use. Trusting yourself is an act of courage. Following your intuition, especially when it contradicts logic or outside advice, takes courage. It means valuing your inner voice even when others doubt. This doesn't mean being reckless or ignoring facts. It means honoring the integration of all your knowledge, conscious and unconscious, logical and emotional. Many people struggle with this. They have been taught to distrust their feelings, to defer to authority, to doubt themselves. But learning to trust your intuition is also learning to trust yourself. It is acknowledging that you possess wisdom, that your experiences matter, that your body and mind have built a sophisticated system for navigating the world. Building this trust takes time. It requires small acts of listening, trying, and learning. But it is worth it. Because the alternative is living disconnected from your own inner guidance, always looking outside for answers when some of the most important answers lie within. And so, as the night deepens and your thoughts begin to drift, surrender yourself to this quiet truth. You are not just a thinking mind. You are a feeling body, a pattern-recognizing brain, a system fine-tuned by millions of years of evolution. Every day, beneath your awareness, your body and brain are working together, processing, predicting, and guiding. They send you signals, gentle nudges, feelings in your stomach, tightness in your chest, ease in your breath. These are not random. These are information. And learning to listen to them, to honor them without being ruled by them, is one of the most valuable skills you can cultivate. Your intuition is not infallible. It can be wrong. It can be biased. But it is also wise. It knows things your conscious mind has not yet grasped. It sees patterns you have not yet named. And when you learn to work with it, to let it inform your choices rather than control them, you become more whole. More integrated. More yourself. If you are still awake, that is perfectly okay. Let the next episode begin or let yourself drift. Either way, you are safe. You are held. And your body, with all its silent intelligence, is gently guiding you. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you sleep well and have soft dreams. Good night.